UK Driving Theory Test Practice Topic 6. Part 2. Vulnerable Road User. Question 1 of 35. And why must these road markings be kept clear? A. To allow school children to be dropped off. B. To allow teachers to park. C. To allow school children to be picked up. D. To allow a clear view of the crossing area. The correct answer is D. The markings are there to show that the area must be kept clear. This is to allow an unrestricted view for approaching drivers and riders, and children wanting to cross the road. Question 2 of 35. When you're overtaking a cyclist, you should leave as much room as you would give to a car. What's the main reason for this? A. The cyclist might speed up. B. The cyclist might get off their bike. C. The cyclist might swerve. D. The cyclist might have to make a left turn. The correct answer is C. Before overtaking, assess the situation. Look well ahead to see whether the cyclist will need to change direction. Be especially aware of a cyclist approaching parked vehicles, as they'll need to alter course. Don't pass too closely or cut in sharply. Question 3 of 35. You intend to turn right into a side road. Why should you check for motorcyclists just before turning? A. They may be overtaking on your left. B. They may be following you closely. C. They may be emerging from the side road. D. They may be overtaking on your right. The correct answer is D. Never attempt to change direction to the right without first checking your right-hand mirror and blind spot. A motorcyclist might not have seen your signal and could be hidden by other traffic. This observation should become a matter of routine. Question 4 of 35. You're about to reverse into a side road. A pedestrian is waiting to cross behind you. What should you do? A. Wave to the pedestrian to stop. B. Give way to the pedestrian. C. Sound your horn to warn the pedestrian. D. Reverse before the pedestrian starts to cross. The correct answer is B. If you need to reverse into a side road, try to find a place that's free from traffic and pedestrians. Look all around before and during the maneuver. Stop and give way to any pedestrians who want to cross behind you. Avoid waving them across, sounding the horn, flashing your lights, or giving any signals that could mislead them and create a dangerous situation. Question 5 of 35. You're at the front of a queue of traffic waiting to turn right into a side road. Why is it important to check your right mirror just before turning? A. To look for pedestrians about to cross. B. To check for overtaking vehicles. C. To make sure the side road is clear. D. To check for emerging traffic. The correct answer is B. A motorcyclist could be riding along the outside of the queue. Always check your mirror before turning, as situations behind you can change in the time you've been waiting to turn. Question 6 of 35. You're waiting to come out of a side road. Why should you look carefully for motorcycles? A. Motorcycles are usually faster than cars. B. Police patrols often use motorcycles. C. Motorcycles can easily be hidden behind obstructions. D. Motorcycles have right-of-way. The correct answer is C. If you're waiting to emerge from a side road, look carefully for motorcycles. They can be difficult to see. Be especially careful if there are parked vehicles or other obstructions restricting your view. Question 7 of 35. What does this sign mean? A. No route for pedestrians and cyclists. B. A route for pedestrians only. C. A route for cyclists only. D. A route for pedestrians and cyclists. The correct answer is D. This sign shows a shared route for pedestrians and cyclists. When it ends, the cyclists will be rejoining the main road. Question 8 of 35. You're approaching a roundabout. There are horses just ahead of you. What should you do? A. Sound your horn as a warning. B. Treat them like any other vehicle. C. Give them plenty of room. D. Accelerate past as quickly as possible. The correct answer is C. Horse riders often keep to the outside of the roundabout even if they're turning right. Give them plenty of room and remember that they may have to cross lanes of traffic. Question 9 of 35. What does this sign tell you? A. No cycling. B. Cycle route ahead. C. Cycle parking only. D. End of cycle route. The correct answer is B, with people's concern today for the environment. Cycle routes are being extended in our towns and cities. Respect the presence of cyclists on the road and give them plenty of room if you need to pass. Question 10 of 35. You've stopped at a Pelican Crossing. A disabled person is crossing slowly in front of you when the lights change to green. What should you do? A. Wait for them to finish crossing. B. Drive in front of them. C. Edge forward slowly. D. Sound your horn. The correct answer is A. At a Pelican Crossing, the green light means you may proceed as long as the crossing is clear. If someone hasn't finished crossing, be patient and wait for them, whether they're disabled or not. Question 11 of 35. Where would you see this sign? A. In the window of a car taking children to school. B. At the side of the road. C. At playground areas. D. On the rear of a school bus or coach. The correct answer is D. Vehicles that are used to carry children to and from school will be traveling at busy times of the day. If you're following a vehicle with this sign, be prepared for it to make frequent stops. It might pick up or set down passengers in places other than normal bus stops. Question 12 of 35. You're following two cyclists. They approach a roundabout in the left-hand lane. In which direction should you expect the cyclist to go? A. Left. B. Right. C. Any direction. D. Straight ahead. The correct answer is C. Cyclists approaching a roundabout in the left-hand lane may be turning right but may not have been able to get into the correct lane due to heavy traffic. They may also feel safer keeping to the left all the way around the roundabout. Be aware of them and give them plenty of room. Question 13 of 35. What must a driver do at a Pelican Crossing when the amber light is flashing? A. Signal the pedestrian to cross. B. Always wait for the green light before proceeding. C. Give way to any pedestrians on the crossing. D. Wait for the red and amber light before proceeding. The correct answer is C. The flashing amber light allows pedestrians already on the crossing to get to the other side before a green light shows to the traffic. Be aware that some pedestrians, such as elderly people and young children, need longer to cross. Let them do this at their own pace. Question 14 of 35. You're coming up to a roundabout. A cyclist is signaling to turn right. What should you do? A. Overtake on the right. B. Give a warning with your horn. C. Signal the cyclist to move across. D. Give a cyclist plenty of room. The correct answer is D. If you're following a cyclist who's signaling to turn right at a roundabout, leave plenty of room. Give them space and time to get into the correct lane. Question 15 of 35. You're turning left at a junction where pedestrians have started to cross. What should you do? A. Go around them, leaving plenty of room. B. Stop and wave at them to cross. C. Sound your horn and proceed. D. Give way to them. The correct answer is D. When you're turning into a side road, pedestrians who are crossing have priority. You should wait to allow them to finish crossing safely. Be patient if they're slow or unsteady. Don't try to rush them by sounding your horn, flashing your lights, revving your engine or giving any other inappropriate signal. Question 16 of 35. What should you do when you see two elderly pedestrians about to cross the road ahead? A. Expect them to wait for you to pass. B. Speed up to get past them quickly. C. Stop and wave them across the road. D. Be careful, they may misjudge your speed. The correct answer is D. Older people may have impaired hearing, vision, concentration and judgment. They may also walk slowly and so could take a long time to cross the road. Question 17 of 35. Why should you allow extra room when overtaking a motorcyclist on a windy day? A. The rider may turn off suddenly to get out of the wind. B. The rider may be blown across in front of you. C. The rider may stop suddenly. D. The rider may be traveling faster than normal. The correct answer is B. If you're driving in high winds, be aware that the conditions might force a motorcyclist or cyclist to swerve or wobble. Take this into consideration if you're following or wish to overtake a two-wheeled vehicle. Question 18 of 35. Who may use Pelican Crossings? A. Motorcyclists and cyclists. B. Motorcyclists and pedestrians. C. Only cyclists. D. Cyclists and pedestrians. The correct answer is D. There are some crossings where cycle routes lead cyclists to cross at the same place as pedestrians. These are called Pelican Crossings. Always look out for cyclists, as they're likely to be approaching faster than pedestrians. Question 19 of 35. You see a pedestrian carrying a white stick with a red band. What does this tell you? A. They have limited mobility. B. They're deaf. C. They're blind. D. They're deaf and blind. The correct answer is D. When someone is deaf as well as blind, they may carry a white stick with a red reflective band. They may not be aware that you're approaching and they may not be able to hear anything, so, for example, your horn would be ineffective as a warning to them. Question 20 of 35. Why should you look particularly for motorcyclists and cyclists at junctions? A. They may want to turn into the side road. B. They may slow down to let you turn. C. They're harder to see. D. They might not see you turn. The correct answer is C. Cyclists and motorcyclists are smaller than other vehicles and so are more difficult to see. They can easily be hidden from your view by cars parked near a junction. Question 21 of 35. Where should you take particular care to look for motorcyclists and cyclists? A. On dual carriageways. B. At junctions. C. At zebra crossings. D. On one-way streets. The correct answer is B. Motorcyclists and cyclists are often more difficult to see at junctions. They're easily hidden from view and you may not be able to see them approaching a junction if your view is partially blocked, for example, by other traffic. Question 22 of 35. The road outside this school is marked with yellow zigzag lines. What do these lines mean? A. You may park on the lines when dropping off school children. B. You may park on the lines when picking up school children. C. You mustn't wait or park your vehicle here at all. D. You must stay with your vehicle if you park here. The correct answer is C. Parking here would block other road users' view of the school entrance and would endanger the lives of children on their way to and from school. Question 23 of 35. You're driving in town. There's a bus at the bus stop on the other side of the road. Why should you be careful? A. The bus might have broken down. B. Pedestrians might come from behind a bus. C. The bus might move off suddenly. D. The bus might remain stationary. The correct answer is B. If you see a bus ahead, watch out for pedestrians. They might not be able to see you if they're crossing from behind a bus. Question 24 of 35. You want to reverse into a side road, but you aren't sure that the area behind your car is clear. What should you do? A. Look through the rear window only. B. Get out and check. C. Check the mirrors only. D. Carry on, assuming it's clear. The correct answer is B. If you can't tell whether there's anything behind you, it's always safest to check before reversing. There may be a small child or a low obstruction close behind your car. Question 25 of 35. You're following a cyclist. What should you do when you wish to turn left just ahead? A. Overtake the cyclist before you reach the junction. B. Pull alongside the cyclist and stay level until after the junction. C. Hold back until the cyclist has passed the junction. D. Go around the cyclist on the junction. The correct answer is C. Make allowances for cyclists, and give them plenty of room. Don't overtake and then immediately turn left. Be patient and turn behind them when they've passed the junction. Question 26 of 35. What should you do when you're following a motorcyclist along a road that has a poor surface? A. Drive closely so they can see you in their mirrors. B. Overtake immediately to avoid delays. C. Allow extra room in case they swerve to avoid potholes. D. Allow the same room as normal to avoid wasting road space. The correct answer is C. To avoid being unbalanced, a motorcyclist might swerve to avoid potholes and bumps in the road. Be prepared for this and allow them extra space. Question 27 of 35. Why should motorcyclists wear bright clothing? A. They must do so by law. B. It helps keep them cool in summer. C. The colors are popular. D. Drivers often do not see them. The correct answer is D. Motorcycles and scooters are generally smaller than other vehicles and can be difficult to see. Wearing bright clothing makes it easier for other road users to see a motorcyclist approaching, especially at junctions. Question 28 of 35. You're driving in a slow-moving queue of traffic. Just before changing lane, what should you do? A. Sound the horn and flash your lights. B. Look for motorcyclists filtering through the traffic. C. Give a slowing down arm signal. D. Chain down to first gear. The correct answer is B. In queuing traffic, motorcyclists could be passing you on either side. Use your mirrors and check your blind area before changing lanes or changing direction. Question 29 of 35. The left-hand pavement is closed due to street repairs. What should you do? A. Watch out for pedestrians walking in the road. B. Use your right-hand mirror more often. C. Speed up to get past the roadworks more quickly. D. Position close to the left-hand curb. The correct answer is A. Where street repairs have closed off pavements, proceed carefully and slowly, as pedestrians might have to walk in the road. Question 30 of 35. Who's especially in danger of not being seen as you reverse your car? A. Motorcyclists. B. Car drivers. C. Cyclists. D. Children. The correct answer is D. It may not be possible to see a small child through the rear windscreen of your vehicle. Be aware of this before you reverse. If there are children about, get out and check that it's clear before reversing. Question 31 of 35. You're approaching this roundabout and see the cyclist signal right. Why is the cyclist keeping to the left? A. It's a quicker route for the cyclist. B. The cyclist is going to turn left instead. C. The cyclist thinks the highway code doesn't apply to bicycles. D. The cyclist is slower and more vulnerable. The correct answer is D. Cycling in today's heavy traffic can be hazardous. Some cyclists may not feel happy about crossing the path of traffic to take up a position in an outside lane. Be aware of this and understand that although they're in the left-hand lane, the cyclist might be turning right. Question 32 of 35. What does a flashing amber beacon mean when it's on a moving vehicle? A. The vehicle is slow-moving. B. The vehicle has broken down. C. The vehicle is a doctor's car. D. The vehicle belongs to a school crossing patrol. The correct answer is A. Different colored beacons warn of different types of vehicle needing special attention. Blue beacons are used on emergency vehicles that need priority. Green beacons are found on doctors' cars. Amber beacons generally denote slower moving vehicles, which are often large. These vehicles are usually involved in road maintenance or local amenities and make frequent stops. Question 33 of 35. At night, you see a pedestrian wearing reflective clothing and carrying a bright red light. What does this mean? A. You're approaching roadworks. B. You're approaching an organized walk. C. You're approaching a slow-moving vehicle. D. You're approaching a traffic danger spot. The correct answer is B. The people on the walk should be keeping to the left, but don't assume this. Pass carefully, making sure you have time to do so safely. Be aware that the pedestrians have their backs to you and may not know that you're there. Question 34 of 35. What should you do when following a car driven by an elderly driver? A. Expect the driver to drive badly. B. Flash your lights and overtake. C. Be aware that their reactions may be slower than yours. D. Stay very close behind but be careful. The correct answer is C. You must show consideration to other road users. The reactions of older drivers may be slower and they might need more time to deal with a situation. Be tolerant and don't lose patience or show annoyance. Question 35-0F35. At a Pelican Crossing, what must you do when the amber light is flashing? A. Give way to pedestrians already on the crossing. B. Give way to pedestrians waiting to cross. C. Stop and wait for the green light. D. Stop and wait for the red light. The correct answer is A. Give way to pedestrians already on the crossing. Pelican Crossings are signal-controlled crossings operated by pedestrians. Push-button controls change the signals. Pelican Crossings have no red and amber stage before green. Instead, they have a flashing amber light. This means you must give way to pedestrians who are already on the crossing. If the crossing is clear, however, you can continue.